Okay. I'm living your truth.
That's just good business practice.
That is just good business practice.
In his defense, 30 feet is very far. The
PH. You want to hear some shit? Because I've seen some shit. Let's get into it. All right, welcome. Today I want to talk about oddballs in machining. So you got the autistics in the machine shop world, and they'd go together, you know, like a nut and a bolt. But once you start getting outside of first shift, then you get the real weirdos coming out. You get the criminal records. You get the shady people.
Ted. Radass. Jivin' fucking Pete.
They've assembled the D-Gen All-Stars. Their organization is baffling.
Today I want to tell you a few of those stories that I've had over the past few years. All right, so we're gonna start off light and then move into the heavier stuff as we go. Only got a couple stories for you today. This was actually a first shift story. The guy thought he was being cute. He couldn't take smoke breaks. We had fume extractors in the machines, so he went ahead and every about half hour or so, he'd light up a cigarette, go ahead and smoke it in the machine, not knowing that the fume extractor is actually right next to the air conditioning vent. That air conditioning vent would suck that smoke up, run it through the AC condenser, and blow it straight into the office. So after that, his career just kind of went up in smoke. The next favorite is it happened on third shift. It's kind of a first shift and third shift crossover. The first shift kind of screwed itself because there was a homeless man living in a parking lot. The cops kept getting called out, and it was one of the last times that they were, okay, we're either gonna have you arrested or you gotta move, you know, something's gotta give here. And the HR department felt so bad for him, so they went ahead and gave him a job because, you know, he was just down on his luck. He just needed a little bit of help, man. I get that, I can feel for him. It's not something you want to bring in a machine shop. An unskilled, probable drug addict, homeless man. But, you know, let's fine. Let's stick him on third shift and see how it works out. So, working third shift at the time, he was given the simple task of loading and unloading parts. Machine operator. Okay, fine, cool. You should be able to handle that. It's any monkey could do that. I would have started him in the deburring, but, you know, that's just me. So, first night, he's got a horizontal machine and, you know, starts off normal, blowing off parts. And as he slowly starts to fent lean, then wakes up and rinse and repeat that process for about 8 hours, which is all he did. He just didn't actually change any of the parts. He just fent lean in the machine for 8 consecutive hours.
Now please enjoy the visual representation from the man that they just hired, because as I'm watching this back while editing, I realize I've left out some important context, that we were working at a firearm manufacturing facility. So this homeless drug addict had access to both serialized and unserialized receivers. And if he was more industrious, he could have easily stolen plenty of that to make unregistered firearms.
Oh, just seeing it back in my head, watching it happen. It just, yeah.
Coming. You just remembering it? Like,
just, yeah.
All you can see now is...
Yeah. And it blew my mind that management would do nothing about it.
Well, when HR hires someone, HR's got to fire someone.
Yeah.
So, you know, that could have been an extremely dangerous situation, but we're not there anymore. We're past that. I'm sure he's doing just fine now. All right, here's one of my favorites. I was at one company as the lead programmer. The former programmer who had been there for, you know, about 8 years was kind of vying for power. It was a constant struggle. Undermining here and there. I was the new guy, even though I was the more senior to him. Not in age at the company, but in terms of position. So there was always that struggle. So he was a man with substance abuse issues. This being second shift, it kind of went unnoticed but known. There were signs like, hey, where's your license and why is it always suspended? And why is your wife taking you to work every day? Why are you 50 years old dropping off a 12-pack of Budweiser in the fridge as soon as first shift leaves? There was some pretty obvious signs. So me and the kid on first shift would joke about it from time to time that, hey, there's a problem here. We might want to deal with this at some point. And he went ahead and did the gag gift of buying a breathalyzer test. So he wanted to breathalyze him before his shift started. It's kind of a ha, I know what you're doing. It came out through the grapevine that he's got that breathalyzer in his locker, and he proceeded to have the most epic crash out that I think I've ever witnessed. Even though I didn't witness it directly, I just heard it secondhand from management, and I 100% believe the story. So what had happened was he finished his first 12-pack for the night. Then he proceeded to rummage through his lockers to find the breathalyzer, then proceeded to pick up a second 12-pack at the corner store up the street, and then stay after we all left and locked the shop up. So he reopened the shop, disabled the alarm, and stayed there on the clock till about 4 a.m., blowing up the manager's phone, saying that he has a real issue with the accusations of his alcohol abuse while he was abusing alcohol. So let's just say that that didn't last that much longer after that. He was promptly escorted off by the police. I would say that's another one of those safety issues. And now probably the most disgusting thing I've ever firsthand experienced is urinating in a coolant tank.
Oh, that's nasty.
Because the bathroom is too far away. We are talking about 30 feet of walking. As soon as I saw that, I ran it up the chain. Again, this is kind of a second shift thing. No one does care as much. You got urine in there. It's atomizing. It's going all over the shop. It's going in everyone's. I refuse to work on any machine after this guy. If I knew he touched something or close to something, I'm not working with him. I'm going to work over here until you guys clean this up because I'm not dealing with that health hazard. And like, especially with pee. I understand if you're going to pee in the pool. Like, yes, that's disgusting. You shouldn't do it. But at least there's tens of thousands of gallons to dissipate the urine.
I'm just enjoying the water. Oh, come on, that's not even one. It's hot.
You know, if you're gonna pee in the ocean, again, same thing, hundreds of millions of gallons you're dealing with, it's not a big deal. If you're gonna pee in like a lake or a river, I personally wouldn't do that because you get those parasites that climb in your pee hole, but you know, you do you, or wear a rubber.
So, I'm gonna put this on first. They said fish, just the waiter. And I had this little penis, I guess like a sheath protection bag. I put a condom on, have that to hold that on. Definitely don't want nothing swinging at my penis.
But in a 30-liter coolant tank, yeah, that's pee now. You're throwing your pH off, if nothing else. The bacteria. So I was just thinking about those stories recently, wanted to share them a little bit. So if you guys got any oddball stories like that, go ahead and let us know in the comments, because something I'd like to do is put all these together as like a small little anthology or type of series. My thought with my buddies is something like tires, because we've seen and we've experienced too much in the shop to not get this out there for the general public not to know about it. So until the next one, have a good one.